This is Catholic Forum. I'm Bob Krebs. Stephanie Aquila is the founder of Liturgy, Culture, and Kitchen by His Girl Sunday, an online space inspired by Catholic culture and liturgical living. She has ministered in the fields of liturgy, communications, theology, and youth ministry. She's currently serving as the Director of Communications and Marketing at the University of St. Thomas in Houston, Texas. Her new book is titled Festive Faith: Catholic Celebrations Through the Year and Around the World, published by Ave Maria Press. I would like to welcome to Catholic Forum Stephanie Aquila. Thanks for joining us today, Stephanie.
Thanks for having me. It's a joy to be here.
I'm kind of a nerd for these Catholic traditions and how they got started and so forth. So I was really happy to see your new book, and we're going to be talking about that today on the program. Before we get into that, tell us a little bit about yourself. What did I miss from your introduction?
Well, not much. You covered a majority of it, but my name is Stephanie. I am the founder of His Girl Sunday, which is a blog and a place online where people can find the support they need to live the liturgical year in community and as families and as parishes. I started working for a variety of Catholic institutions at a very young age, so 18 years old.
Wow.
I'm 35 now, so it's been a while, and I've gained a lot of experience in different roles working with parishes, working with families, and have really felt that living the liturgical year in community life and in parish life has been something that needs support. So that's been a big part of my mission as well.
Mm-hmm. So tell us, how did this book, Festive Faith, come about?
Well, it came naturally from the gift of my own family. I grew up in a large Hispanic family. I married into a large Italian family. And we had a lot of traditions. We had a lot of celebration and gatherings throughout the year that really drew us out of the ordinary. And when my husband and I got married, and we went online to kind of develop more of those resources and expand our understanding of our traditions, what I saw was nothing like what I really had experienced. What I saw were a lot of catechetical crafts for small children.
Mm-hmm.
And that is kind of how liturgical living was being framed. And my experience was very intergenerational. It was more timeless. I saw a lot of different ages and people and seasons of life partaking. And I just wanted to revitalize the culture, right? Like that was a sense of culture in my home and in community that I experienced. And I really felt that people were not getting the fullness of living the liturgical year. And so I thought, what if I could just share this more holistic approach that would hopefully revitalize the culture as a whole, right? And that we would participate in traditions that small children wouldn't grow out of, but that they'd be these elements of our faith that we could always have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I really like how the book has, how to carry on these traditions at home with the family, but also it has parish, how parishes can do it as well. And I like, usually you have to buy two separate books for something like that, but you've incorporated it in both. So walk us through the book, if you would, please.
So when you crack open Festive Faith, you're going to get initially some principles. I think a lot of people kind of need to relearn what liturgical living is, in a sense, being more grounded in the liturgy and the sacramental life of the church. So I kind of walk you through some of those things, some principles that I have come up with that I think really spoke to our family and will help ground other people. I teach people about my 3 A's, making it attainable, accessible, and authentic to who you are as a family or a parish. And then you'll go through every single season, beginning with Advent as the new liturgical year, all the way through the second ordinary time. And what I've done in those seasons is I've drawn out the most prominent traditions so that people know where they come from. So I give you a little bit of a backstory on each one, what they look like now, so how they're lived out, and then how you can break that down very simply in your house or in your parish, right? I want the traditions to feel and be attainable so that people will take them on and make them their own.
Mhm.
And then in some sections, we interviewed people from around the city of Houston, where I'm at, who are, um, culturally connected to some of these traditions because I wanted them to tell their story
Mhm.
and not just be me recounting traditions, but like sharing them as authentic stories of human people throughout time all over the world who have sought to give God praise. So we have some accounts of that too.
That's great. So here we are. We're in the midst of Advent, Christmas right around the corner. Can you share with us some of the Advent and Christmas traditions that are highlighted in your book?
Sure. So some of the most popular ones that I've tried to draw out were the Advent wreath, the feast of St. Nicholas, which a lot of people have taken on,
Mhm.
and is great. And I'm glad you're doing that. So I just offered more resources to support that. The feast of St. Lucy, and then we've highlighted some more community traditions like Simbangabee, Las Posadas, the feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe.
Mhm.
And so, these are very popular Advent traditions that can be done at home with your neighbors or at your church.
What was the one you said before Posada? Um,
Simbangabee.
why don't you talk about that? I've never heard that before.
So, Simbangabee is a novena of masses,
Hmm.
and it began in the Filipino culture. And so what they would do is they would 9 days leading up to Christmas, they would go to mass early, early in the morning before the sun even rose. And then, after mass, sometimes they would partake in food or, community time together, prayer, etc. And that basically got adapted because now, you can find this a lot in Houston, the Simbanga Bee, but it's been adapted. So sometimes parishes or communities will just do one day of the 9 days,
Mhm.
or they'll do a few days of them. But I went to one out here in my part of town, and they had it all on one day in the evening. They did mass, but then afterwards in the parish community center, there was singing, there was cultural dancing, there was food. And really, it's kind of harkens back to the way that we lead up to major solemnities with, devotional elements like a novena.
I also found the St. John Day wine blessing. That's an Advent or a Christmas season. Talk a little bit about that, if you would, please.
Yeah, so in the Christmas season, we celebrate the feast of St. John the Evangelist. And there is this myth or this lore, not that it's not true, but it's a story that communicates the truth, right? That
Right.
St. John the Evangelist had this attempted poisoning. He's often depicted with a chalice and a serpent coming out of the chalice to indicate that he was poisoned or that someone tried to poison him, but that his faith in Christ saved him from dying, by this chalice, this poisoned wine. And so out of that came the tradition of blessing wine on the feast of St. John the Evangelist. Um, Typically, well, in ages past, they would bless all the wine that they were going to use for that season on that one day. We don't really use wine in the same way, right? But that can still be a prompting for us to ask our parish priest to bless our wine or around the table to share in a glass, and you say, I cheers to you, I cheers you to the love of St. John. And then the person would respond by passing that blessing or that toast around the table.
Sounds like a good reason to have a little bit of wine.
I mean, it doesn't hurt sometimes.
My guest today on Catholic Forum is Stephanie Aquila, and her book is titled Festive Faith Catholic Celebrations Through the Year and Around the World, published by Ave Maria Press. Do you have any favorite traditions that are in the book that you could share with us?
Well, I've always loved the Feast of Seven Fishes.
Hmm.
That one is a beloved one for me. My husband's family does it, but I grew up in a small town on the water out in
Hmm.
East Texas, and we always fished. And my dad taught us to fish, and we ate fish all the time. So I love Christmas Eve was more so, well, it's a vigil that is supposed to have fasting as a part of it, which has kind of fallen out of practice. Most people do not fast on Christmas Eve anymore,
Hmm.
but that is where this tradition of eating seven fishes came from. And so we still do that on Christmas Eve, and I love that one.
Good. Any others?
In the Christmas season, it's a very simple tradition, but it's one that the church actually encourages us to do, and that is to bless our Christmas tree.
Mhm.
And so during the Christmas season, once our tree is up, we leave our tree up the entirety of the Christmas season. Now, in my family, we celebrate that all the way to Candlemas. But whether it's the feast of the baptism of the Lord or Candlemas, keep your tree up and ask the head of the household to bless the tree. I think it's a beautiful symbol of Christ, the light of Christ. And you can find that in Festive Faith too, how
Wonderful.
to do that.
When you were researching this book, did you come across something that really surprised you?
Well, I think honestly, St. Stephen's Day, which
Okay.
is a feast that does fall within the Christmas season as well, is was a huge deal in Ireland and has since kind of fallen out of practice. But I was really surprised by the way that the men led that feast day and all of the celebrations, the singing, the parading through the streets. You know, in America, and especially the way that liturgical living is communicated online and on social media, it's really driven by what I see is more Catholic moms.
Hmm.
And what I've tried to share is that liturgical living is for all of us. It belongs to all of us, and it should be done by all of us. It shouldn't just fall on moms to have to do everything, right? That it feels burdensome.
Right.
So when I was reading about St. Stephen's Day in Ireland and the way that the men really come together and would pull the community together, um, it was amazing to me to see that, you know, it really belongs to the whole. That tradition is meant to pull us together. And you can read more about the whole history of that tradition and festive faith, but it really is just an incredible cultural day.
Do you think that Catholic culture is in danger of losing some of these traditions? Are these going by the wayside?
I think they did go by the wayside
Hmm.
for many, many, many decades. And I think what we're seeing right now is a revitalization of that. It is becoming very popular. People are interested in it. They want to know why we do the weird, goofy, interesting, beautiful, mysterious things that we do.
Hmm.
And they want that back. I think that we are really seeing people recognizing what was had, what was lost, and what we want.
Hmm.
So hopefully, this is a change. This is a moment of being inspired to take hold of these things and to rejuvenate them. Because I often hear Catholics will say, you know, I saw this kind of language around Halloween where they're saying we need to reclaim Halloween. We need to reclaim Christmas. And I have to say, the culture, the secular society, is not taking anything from you. They're not taking it from you because they don't know what you even have. They don't
Hmm.
understand our faith. They don't understand the mystery of or the tradition of it. So we don't really need to reclaim it as if it's been stolen from us by secular society. We need to revitalize what belongs to us,
Hmm.
right? And to kind of take hold and responsibility of what God left us, the liturgical year, as our inheritance.
Very well said. Bring back the big, goofy, and mysterious.
That's right.
So, what has been the reaction to the book so far?
I've heard a lot of people say, and I'm grateful for this, that they feel relieved to read a book about liturgical living that breaks things down in a way that is attainable for them. I think right now there are a lot of depictions of liturgical living online that make it seem very picture perfect. It's very Hallmark. There are a lot of steps to do in some of the things that are being portrayed online, right? And so it feels unattainable and it feels burdensome. And this book really does try to take an approach that was given to me in my own family life, which is that we all participate in this. Like we all chip in and can support one another.
Yeah. That leads me to the bigger question. Tell us about Liturgy, Culture, and Kitchen by His Girl Sunday. What is that all about?
So, His Girl Sunday started as a blog for me to share my own family traditions. And His Girl Sunday is a play off of the phrase His Girl Friday.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of uh, I Love Lucy and some of the older movies, His Girl Friday being one of them. And so I thought, okay, well, Sunday is the primordial feast day, and I will just share what's going on in my home. And then as that developed and grew, I wanted kind of a subcategory to what became a business and a ministry, where people knew more explicitly that this is about living the liturgical year. So my husband and I, we came up with liturgy culture and kitchen. So we offer recipes, we offer resources, history, and all the things that one would need truly to live the liturgical year in a practical way, in a joyful way.
When you say living the liturgical year, I mean, I guess most people, most families, they think, okay, you have your calendar at home, what's going on, and then you have your church calendar. You know that it's Advent, or you know that it's Lent, or you know it's Christmas season, but that's kind of separate from your day-to-day living. This kind of brings it all together. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah. So, I taught for many years and I taught theology at Catholic schools. And during that time when I was teaching, I realized how tied to the secular calendar I was and that we all are. And I thought, okay, I really don't want this to just be about various traditions that I partake in throughout the year. I want this to be like a seamless lifestyle. And so I bought a Catholic liturgical planner that has, all the things I need to go about my day and live in the world. But it also had all the elements of the liturgical year that would prompt me to pray or to celebrate or to fast, what have you. And so it has been a gift really to share with others how they can make this about a lifestyle change and not just one more thing to add to the to-do list.
Yet I'm sure people appreciate that because we certainly have our to-do lists. So,
Yeah.
how can we get more information about your work and get a copy of your book?
Sure. So you can get a copy of my book on Ave Maria Press. And if you use the code Aquila20, then you'll get the book for $20 even. You can also get it on hisgirlsunday.com. And if you wanted practical tips and tricks for daily liturgical life, you could follow me on Facebook or Instagram. Just type in His Girl Sunday and I'll show up.
Awesome, very good. So, Stephanie Aquila, thanks so much for spending time with us today. And we hope you have a wonderful remainder of the Advent season and a blessed Christmas. And we'll see you, what's after Christmas? I guess ordinary time, I guess.
Yep.
Very
Well,
good.
thank you. It's a joy to be here with you and a gift, so I appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Take care.